Ladies and gentlemen of the Action Army, what is going on? And welcome to another episode of Answers for Athletes. In today's video, I'm going to give you 6 keys to optimizing your sleep, therefore optimizing your results, therefore optimizing your athleticism. And I want everybody out there to know that if you are not getting optimal sleep, please just understand that less effective sleep equals less recovery, which actually equals less adaptations, which therefore equals less gains, less results, less strength, less power, less explosiveness, less vertical jump, less athleticism in general. So by not getting high quality optimal sleep, you are therefore not optimizing your potential as an athlete. So that's the first caveat. The second caveat is that in this video, I'm going to give you 2 sides to the coin. I'm going to tell you what I do and what most of you are going to gravitate towards because it's more realistic for life balance. And then I'm going to give you what is absolutely optimal for the highest quality sleep you can get. So if anybody out there has the Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality and they want what is absolutely optimal for your results, I will give you that as well. And also, as always, comment JUMP, J-U-M-P, down below in the comment section for a free bodyweight vertical jump training program. Here we go. 6 keys to improve your athleticism via proper sleep. Number 1, do not use an alarm to wake up. Now, before all of you panic and click off of this video, I am going to tell you what to do if you have school or you have work or you have prior obligations where you need to, in quotes, you see me, need to set an alarm for the next morning. But think about it. If we think about what is optimal for our sleep, we are not supposed to sleep until the alarm goes off. We are supposed to sleep until the work is done in your brain, in your body, in your tendons, in your muscles, in your central nervous system. When the work is done and the adaptations have occurred as much as they're going to during your sleep, your body will wake you up naturally. So I do want you to know that that is what is optimal. And I also want to tell you a story. For all of you who say, you can't set an alarm because you have work or you have school or you have prior obligations. I used to brag, and this is really silly thinking back on it now that I'm a little bit more knowledgeable. I used to brag that I could fall asleep anywhere. I could fall asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. I could fall asleep while riding in a car. If I wasn't driving and I was in a passenger seat, trust me, I was nodding off and falling asleep. I would fall asleep at school, in college. I would take a bunch of naps. I would fall asleep at the gym. I remember I was stretching and I said, I'm just going to lay back and I'm going to just take a minute and close my eyes. And all of a sudden it was 20 minutes later and I had woken up and I took a power nap at 4:30 in the morning after I had just woken up. Why would I need to take a nap after I just woke up? It's because every single day in my early 20s, I went to bed at 10 a.m. and I used an alarm and I woke up at 4 a.m. and then I army crawled to my pre-workout and I started sipping my pre-workout as I got in my car and I drove to the gym and I listened to loud music. So at that point in my life, I was absolutely not getting optimal sleep. And therefore, I was not getting optimal results. Sure, I was shredded. I had a high vertical jump, but I'm telling you, my results could have been better if I had gotten optimal sleep. I soon realized that I could not do this anymore. I think it actually was after I nodded off while I was stretching and I just took a nap. And I'm like, why am I needing naps when I just first wake up? Why can I fall asleep anywhere? I fell asleep on a boat and I got sunburned. I was supposed to be having fun with my friends. I fell asleep. I realized that I was not getting enough sleep. So I actually started going to bed much earlier. I started going to bed at 7:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. And some of you might be saying, well, I'm not doing that. You're probably also not waking up at 4. Most of you might wake up at 5, 5:30, 6, which there's nothing wrong with that. However, if I was going to wake up at 4, I needed to go to bed much earlier than 10 p.m. So what I started doing was going to bed at 7:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. And I still set my alarm, but I would try to beat it. I would try to wake up before my alarm went off. And normally, I could actually wake up before my alarm went off, about 5 minutes before my alarm went off, my body would naturally wake me up because I had done it so long and I formed a habit. And then I would just, when my alarm did eventually go off as I was brushing my teeth, I would just beat you, gotcha, I won today. And I would, turn the alarm off. However, my whole point is you're not supposed to sleep until the alarm goes off. You're supposed to sleep until the work is done in your brain and in your body. So if you can, go to bed earlier, try to beat your alarm, set your alarm as backup. And then if your alarm does go off and wake you up, oh well, we didn't win today. We'll try again tomorrow. And then on weekends, make sure that you do not use an alarm to wake up on weekends and you allow your body to sleep or any day that you're off, any day that you have off and you don't have prior obligations, sleep until your body wakes you up naturally. So that is number one. As many days as you can sleep until your body wakes you up naturally, the more days, the better. That's number one. Number two is go to bed at the same time every single night, even on weekends. So this is where I'm going to tell you about, the optimal Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality, what is absolutely optimal, and then what I do, because I do not actually go to bed at the same time every night. On weekends, I do tend to go to bed a little bit later. On Monday nights and Thursday nights, we actually watch football with our neighbors, and I go to bed a little bit later. So for this one, remember, life is meant to be lived. Live the life that sounds the best to you, that is most fulfilling to you. So what is absolutely optimal is going to bed at the same time every single night for your circadian rhythm. But what I actually do isn't that. I do just want to put that out there. So I don't have that much that I want to say about this one, except that the body loves habit. Human beings are creatures of habit. And the body wants you to go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning, not to an alarm. And the more that we stray away from that, the more that we stress the system. So, and you can see evidence in individuals who work the night shift or they work a rotating schedule where some days they're going to bed on time and then other days they work the night shift. Obesity is higher, diabetes is higher, stress is higher, depression is higher in these individuals. So just realize that for this one, going to bed at the same time every single night so that your melatonin is released at the same time every night or close to it is what is optimal. Going to bed at the same time every single night is optimal. That's all that I will say for that one. The third tip is don't drink any caffeine after 12 o'clock noon. And the earlier, the better. Okay, so caffeine has a 6-hour half-life. So if you drink 100 milligrams of caffeine at 2 p.m., at 8 p.m., 6 hours later, there are still 50 milligrams circulating through your system. So 12 o'clock noon is my cutoff, although I normally stop drinking caffeine much sooner than that, if I even drink caffeine that day. But drinking some caffeine is actually shown to be beneficial, for adrenaline and for your nervous system. However, drinking caffeine too close to bed can affect your sleep. And even if you're one of those individuals who says, I can drink caffeine and then fall asleep, that's likely not a good thing. If you can drink caffeine and then you can just fall asleep, this might mean that you are suffering from sleep deprivation or caffeine intolerance or dehydration or a myriad of other issues that you might need to look into. So for this one, all that I will say is don't drink caffeine after 12 o'clock noon, or even the sooner that you stop drinking caffeine, the better. So in the morning, sure, have your cup of coffee, have 2 cups of coffee if you want to, have 3 cups of coffee if you want to, have an energy drink if you want to. We're not going to get into that because I'm not going to start yapping. However, just understand that the closer to bedtime that you drink caffeine, it's a stimulant. It stimulates your central nervous system, and that is not good for sleep. So that is number 3. Number 1, don't use an alarm to wake up. Number 2, try to go to bed at the same time every night. Number 3 is don't drink caffeine after 12 o'clock noon. Number 4 is no screens an hour before bed or an hour upon rising. So as I just said, I like to watch football Monday nights, Thursday nights, Sunday nights, Saturday night. I might watch some Netflix. So that is what I actually do. I have blue light blocking glasses on, but that doesn't matter. It's not optimal to be looking at screens before you go to bed. What is absolutely optimal is nothing. No TV, no laptop, no cell phone, no TikTok, no Instagram reels, not even my YouTube videos. No screens within an hour before you go to bed. And this is because it's emitting off a blue light that suppresses melatonin and therefore doesn't allow you to get quality sleep. So instead, what you can do is you can replace your TikTok or your Monday Night Football. If I was smart, what I would do is replace my Monday night and Thursday night and Sunday Night Football with some mobility work or reading a book or meditation or some other form of something, or planning my next day or writing my goals. All of these are habits that would be much more effective and much more optimal for my sleep, therefore optimal for my recovery and adaptation and my gains than looking at screens is going to be. So tip number 1, don't use an alarm to wake up. Tip number 2, go to bed at the same time every night as much as you can. Tip number 3, no caffeine after 12 o'clock noon. Tip number 4, no screens 1 hour before bed. And then a bonus is 1 hour upon rising. Get out, go for a walk, see some sun, write down, your gratitude, what you're grateful for, write down your goals, plan your day, whatever you're going to do. It's not the best for you to wake up and immediately look at screens either, for all of the same reasons. Tip number 5, and I know I'm going to get some pushback on this one, is tape your mouth shut at night, therefore forcing yourself to breathe through your nose at night. And your first reaction, if you haven't heard me say this before, is what if I die? I will say that if you have a blockage in your nose, if you have allergies, if you have a deviated septum, if for some reason you cannot breathe through your nose, then obviously don't do this. Do not tape your mouth shut and die. However, if you can breathe through your nose and you can tape your mouth shut, which I was supposed to grab the tape out of near my nightstand, but I forgot. But what I use is Ariza medical tape, and you can get it on Amazon. And I just pull a strip off. No, it doesn't hurt when you pull it off. It doesn't rip my hair. It's comfortable. And I use this because I'm being honest in this video. Not every night. Sometimes I do forget. Sometimes I don't feel like it. Wow. I'm laying it all out here. Sometimes I'm just a bitch and I don't feel like it. But most of the time, I do tape my mouth shut before I go to sleep at night. And the reason that I do this, and the reason that this is optimal for your sleep, and therefore your recovery, and therefore your adaptation, and therefore your results, is because by breathing through your nose, you stimulate the parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system. And it is better for recovery to do nose breathing as opposed to mouth breathing. So nose breathing the entire time you are sleeping at night is going to have you more recovered than if you mouth breathe the entire time when you're sleeping at night. And for some people, they nose breathe at night without taping their mouth shut. However, I'm a mouth breather at night regardless, so I tape my mouth shut at night. But I actually did a full video on my main YouTube channel where I used a Whoop watch and it tracked my recovery via heart rate variability. And every single time that I would tape my mouth shut at night, I would have 80 to 90% recovery, sometimes even 85 to 95% recovery via heart rate variability. And when I wouldn't tape my mouth shut at night, my recovery would be around 65 to 75%. So keep in mind, I train pretty hard. I train multiple times a day. And to see more recovery, even if it is, the Whoop strap, I think they're introducing, a way to track the recovery of your muscles. But at this time when I wore the Whoop strap, it was just via heart rate variability. So my cardiovascular system was more recovered. However, I think it probably had an effect on overall recovery. when I tape my mouth shut at night. I saw higher percentages in recovery than when I didn't tape my mouth shut at night. So that is number 5. Tape your mouth shut at night if you can. Get yourself some Ariza medical tape or any type of medical tape, like surgical tape works very well. Tape your mouth shut at night, optimize your recovery. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. Just take what you are going to take from this video. However, that is definitely what is optimal. Via my findings and via many other findings from many other, successful individuals and health advocates that I have followed. Number 6 is avoid food 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. I've said I'm going to get pushback on a few other of these. I feel like I'm going to get pushback on this one as well. Whenever you have these ideas and we're talking about sleep, there's always going to be a little bit of pushback. So please let me say to you again, life is meant to be lived. Just take from this video what you are going to take from this video. And if you want to discard the rest and you only take one thing from here, that is fine with me. I'm just giving you what is optimal. But avoid eating food 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. And this is just because when you're sleeping, your body needs to be focused on sleeping, not digesting food, especially if you eat fats and slow digesting protein and, slow digesting carbohydrates and certain food types that digest very slowly in the system. You don't want to be digesting food all night. You want to be sleeping. You want your body to be focused on the processes of sleeping. Give your digestive system a break and avoid food 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. Now, if you do have a basketball game late at night or you work out late at night and you get home and you need something in your system for recovery, it is better to have some food after a late night basketball game or a late night workout. You don't want to go to bed completely not eating anything after you do a workout or have a game. So in that case, Andrew Wade, the nutrition expert that I had on episode 10 of my podcast, he said that, eat some protein cereal with a scoop of protein and some milk, or eat some yogurt, something that has protein and carbohydrates, but not too many fats, because fats are, the slowest digesting, and that will keep the food moving through your system more slowly than carbohydrates and protein would. So that is number 6. Avoid food 2 to 3 hours before bed. And I will give you one bonus. And most kids aren't going to have to worry about this, but for the 21 and over crowd, avoid alcohol, especially before bed. Now, for me, because I'm giving you what I do and what's optimal, I do have some alcohol some of the time, especially if I'm watching football. I might have a couple drinks. That is 100% not optimal. It increases your heart rate. And actually, when I did that test on my recovery where I wore the Whoop strap, every single time that I drank alcohol, and most of the times I went out to, a bar and I was binge drinking. So I drank a lot of alcohol, meaning like 8+ drinks. Every single time that I drank alcohol, no matter if I tape my mouth shut or not, no matter if I didn't have caffeine after 12 o'clock or not, no matter if I didn't set an alarm or not, my recovery was between 10 and 30%, meaning I was not recovered whatsoever if I drank alcohol before I went to bed. So if you're the type of guy who has a couple beers before you go to bed, like I said, live your life, do whatever makes you feel the most fulfilled. But drinking alcohol in general, especially before bed, is 100% not optimal. However, this is just my video on what is optimal for sleep. Follow whichever tips you're going to take from this. And the more tips that you take from this, the more optimal your sleep would be. Therefore, the more optimal your recovery will be. Therefore, the more optimal your adaptations will be, and the more you will see gains on your strength, your power, your explosiveness, your vertical jump, your athleticism in general. Leave a comment down below if you want me to answer your question in a video just like this. Comment jump for that free bodyweight vertical jump training program. And I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.